Hi guys, and welcome to this GuitarDomination.net video. This video is an extract from the Fingerpicking 101 book. If you haven't yet got it, go to GuitarDomination.net and go and download it. When you've got the book, come back and we'll have a good look at this. This is the London pattern, as I call them. It's a Travis picking pattern, and it's probably the most common picking pattern of all time. Right, before I show you that play along example, I'm going to show you how to play it with a C, D and G chord. Start off with the C chord. What we're going to do is play a pinch on the root note. So for a C it's the A string with the thumb and the B string with the middle finger together. Okay, so that's your pinch. Then the thumb's going to go to the D string. Then your index finger is going to go to the G string. Okay, so that's the first half of the bar. Pinch on the A and B strings. Thumb on the D, index on the G. Then we're going to go back to the thumb on the A, the middle finger on the B, thumb on the D, and then index on the G. So you can split the pattern up into two halves if you like. First half, second half. So all together. Practice it very slowly at first. You know, you want to get it really comfortable. So your fingers are hitting the right strings every time. Try and nail it 10 times in a row at a very slow speed before you even try and speed it up. Now we try it on the G chord. Okay, so the difference is here is just the root note changes from the 5th string, the A string, to the low E string. Everything else is the same. So you pinch on the low E and the B together, play the D with the thumb, G with the index, back to the root with the thumb, B with the middle, D with the thumb, and G with the index. Okay, for the D chord, it's going to be exactly the same as what we did for the C chord, but everything's shifted up a string. So instead of starting off on the strings 2 and 5, on the A and the B strings, we're going to start off on strings 4 and 1. On the D and the E string. So we're going to pinch the D and the high E. Then with the thumb we're going to play the G string, and then the B string with the index. Thumb on the D, middle on the high E, thumb on the G, index on the B. Okay, so in essence we are treating this G string like a bass note here, because a D chord in its common form has only 4 strings. The D string is the only bass note, so often you'll treat the G string as a bass note as well. Okay, so let's recap. C chord, play along with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. G chord, 1, 2, 3, 4. D chord, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, that's the basics of it. Now we're going to look at the real world play along example. Okay, it starts off with an E minor. We're actually in a mode here. If you don't know anything about music theory or modes yet, don't worry too much. It's just an interesting way of playing a bunch of chords differently. We're actually in the key of D, but we're starting with the E minor chord, and we don't really play the D chord, so that means we're in E Dorian mode. You know, it just adds a little bit of jazzy blues sort of vibe to it, a little bit of interest. That's what modes are for. Don't get bogged down with them. Just experiment with a bunch of different chords and have some fun. Start with the E minor, play our pattern. So from on the 6th string, then we're going to play an A major. You can play it whichever way you like. Some people like to play the A major as a little bar across, like I do. Thumb on the 5th string for that. You can play A major like this. Some of you play it like this, swapping your fingers around, which is cool, you know, that's really cool. I like to do it for this song anyway, little bar, it's just easier. So once you've done the E minor to the A, you do that again. Then back to the E minor. First of all, before we move on, notice how my thumb is changing root notes for the chords. E minor is a 6th string chord, so it starts off on the 6th string. A major is a 5th string chord, so it starts off on the 5th string. Okay, once we've done that last E minor, so we've done E minor, A, E minor, A, E minor, we're going to go to this G. You only need to fret this 3rd fret on the low E string for this bit. We can play the G, so it's the same pattern as the E minor. But halfway through, we're going to change bass notes to the 2nd fret of the low E string and play the rest of the pattern there. So that bar looks like. Yeah, I'll take you through that bar slowly. 3rd fret on the low E, the pinch on low E and B. Thumb on the 4th string. Index on the G string. That's all you play on that chord. And then when you switch notes, hit the root note again, 6th string with a thumb, and play the rest of the pattern there. So it's thumb, B string, D string, G string. So that should sound like this. Okay, don't get too bogged down with that bit. It's just there to add a little bit of a bass note change, a little bit of harmonic interest. Okay, then we go back to the A chord, play the same pattern as we did before on the A. Okay, now we're going to go to A minor, which this is where the key actually changes from E Dorian and it changes into A minor as our key. Okay, so we play A minor chord, which is the same pattern as for the A major chord. Now we're going to change it up and play the D minor 7 chord. If you don't know how to play that, you do a little bar across the 1st fret on the B and the high E strings with the index finger, and then the middle finger goes on the 2nd fret of the G string. Don't forget here, that picking pattern has just shifted up one. So now we start with the thumb on the D string and the middle finger on the high E. And play the same pattern as we did when we was talking about the earlier chords, like 4-string chords like the D chord. So it's the same as for the D major. Only this time it's a D minor 7. Okay. So that last few bars are A minor, D minor 7. Now we're going to change to a version of G7, G7/B, and it looks like this. Index finger 2nd fret on the A string, middle finger on the 3rd fret of the D string, ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. Okay, funny sounding chord when you strum it. You wouldn't sort of strum this kind of chord. I'm going to treat this as a 5-string chord because that's what it is. So we play exactly the same picking pattern as we did for the C chord and all the 5-string chords. Only at the very end, we're going to leave out the very last note on the G string. So instead of going, I'm going to leave that note out at the end on the G string and stop. So when you hit that D string with the thumb, just stop. And then the whole pattern repeats. So E minor, A, E minor, A, E minor, G, little bass run to the F sharp note, A minor, D minor 7, and then G7/B. And once you've repeated the whole thing, finish with a nice little arpeggiated strum on the E minor to lend it that sort of downbeat sort of groove. Alright, and that's the whole piece there in a nutshell. Hope you enjoyed that lesson. Take your time with it. It's quite a complicated chord sequence, but I wanted to do something different from what we've done previously in the other examples. I want to mix it up and show you different things, not just with the picking hand, but with the fretting hand as well. just to teach you new skills, new chords, new voicings, new ways of doing everything. Play along with the audio examples, listen to it frequently, make sure you download them, add it to your favourite media player, iTunes or Tomahawk or anything like that, and just have a lot of fun. It's one of the most important patterns of all time. Master it, play it slow, speed it up, and impress all your friends with it. Right, thanks a lot for watching, and thanks a lot for reading the book, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, bye bye.